Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Raine Plays. Today, we're doing Pique Hearth, where the pancakes live. Just want to show you real quick. I redid them, but only minor adjustments, and I redid their personality traits. I gave him more hair on top, less hair on the bottom, and some glasses. Did not touch his body. For some reason, he looks a bit thinner and more muscular than normal. But I didn't touch his body. Maybe it's an update or something, I don't know. I did change his voice. And then for, what's her name again? Oh my goodness. Eliza. I changed her hair and her glasses. And that's about it. Just about everything Bob was wearing normally, I was fine with. But for her, I just figured I'd kind of chic her up just a little. So I gave her that back wrap hair for normal, and then I figured, well, she's got enough to wrap, so I'll give her a bit of length for when she goes out. So that was about all I did for her. Oh, I did give her some makeup. And by that I mean lipstick, a very pale lipstick, and some blush. Can't really see it with the glasses on anyway. The house. We all know the house has issues. I've been here several times. I understand exactly what's wrong with it. And I don't like it. When you open a door and are immediately greeted by a massive staircase, questions arise, and the main one being why. And then here again, those drapery things hanging off the ceiling. I don't get it. Why are they there? It's weird. It's really, really weird. But it doesn't matter. I bulldozed this lot, and I gave them what I think is more fitting. Because I still believe that EA, Maxis, whoever is doing this, they deliberately sabotaged this couple as a joke, so that it would become a meme. And I don't have a problem with that. There's nothing wrong with it, except that when you're in gameplay, it becomes an issue, at least for me. It drives me nuts that these two are so incompatible. And I know it's real life, but it's a game. I don't want reality in my games, and that's just how I play. So that's why I changed up their personalities. But the house itself, I was never really a big fan of these, because kind of like this, but in a different perspective. In the neighborhood where I used to live, it was block after block of established homes, like from the 30s and the 40s and the 50s. And then just behind our yard, I can't remember what was there, and I do believe it was just field going straight up to the main road. There was nothing there. There were no houses. So I believe it was just, it was just fields. They put in a new subdivision, and they were all McMansions, and they were these massive 2-story colonial-looking. Some of them were 1-story, but a majority of them looked like this pancake house. Not as much gingerbread as this has, which is another thing I cannot stand. I'm just not a fan of gingerbread anything on a house. Yeah, on a Victorian, it goes, but only on a Victorian, if that makes any sense. I don't want to see it everywhere. Anyway, in this new neighborhood or subdivision, whatever you want to call it, were the McMansions, and they were all beige, off-white siding. A couple had a few areas of red brick here and there. I finally had an opportunity to go inside one too, actually. One was a 1-story, and the other was one of the 2-story colonial looking ones. And they were all on normal size lots. But there was hardly any yard, and there was definitely no front yard. Like, there'd be a massive 2.5 car or even 3 car wide driveway, and then this little patch of lawn at the front of the house. But then when you go around toward the back, there probably wasn't even 20 feet of yard. It was just all house. And I thought it was weird. But the point is, they looked massive from the outside. But when I went in them, I was floored. They were the smallest, most cramped spaces I've ever been in. And I've been in some small houses that felt more open and airy than these McMansions. And again, with the 2-story colonial, the minute you walked in the front door, there was a staircase right there. At the landing was right there at the entrance. And then the house snaked off in either direction. So if you went to the left, you'd go straight into the kitchen, walk back. There's a little dining area, and then they call it a great room beyond that. And then if you go to your right, there's like a little den, teeny tiny 10 by 10 den, and then a very narrow hallway with 2 or 3 bedrooms in the back. And the bedrooms, again, could have been no more than 10 by 10 or 8 by 10. But when you look outside, when you're looking at it from the outside, they look humongous. It was just very disappointing. Well, not disappointing, just a surprise to me. The first floor, the one that just had 1 floor, it was strange. You walked in the front door and there was a big, nice size living room, and then directly in back was your kitchen. And then off to one side, you go down another narrow hall, and there's bedroom 1, bedroom 2, bathroom on the wall, and then another bedroom towards the front of the house. But they're all really tiny. Really, really tiny. I just wasn't impressed, and I'm like, you guys are spending so much money on nothing. You don't even have a yard to enjoy. Yeah, you have a deck, but you don't have a yard. You can't put a pool in here. I don't know, it just seemed odd to me that you would spend that kind of money. And then, I think even worse than that was the fact of how close these houses were to one another. There was no space between them. Probably not even 10 feet of space between each house. So I just didn't care for them. Anyway, back to the build here. I wanted to give them something a little more in keeping with them. They're a young couple. I don't know if EA changed this or not, but when I last played them, and that was before my Fairy Liz series, she was an aspiring musician, and he has always been an aspiring chef. So I gave him his chef's kitchen, and I gave her a baby grand, but her aspiration was to be rich. So I changed that to musician. And that, I think, covers them. I was not happy with this house at first. I was not interested in this at all. I just did, how do you say that? My heart wasn't in it. And I actually bulldozed this twice. And this is the final result, but I'm pleased with the final result. It wasn't exactly what I had in mind when I started out, but to be honest with you, I had no idea what I was doing going in. I'm like, what am I going to give them? I don't want to give them a colonial. I don't want to give them 2 stories. I'm not a fan of 1-story houses, though. So this was a real challenge for me to stick to that and not put a staircase in and go upstairs. But I think it's open enough. Well, when you see the end result, I think you'll agree that there's enough open space to make it feel comfortable. It's not as rat maze as most 1-story houses tend to become. because of the lack of space. I understand that. There's just nothing you can do about it, which is why I'm not a fan of it. But there were a couple build issues I thought I would mention. I don't think I've mentioned before. I hope I haven't. If I have, I apologize. But I tend to fix the door handles so that you're opening them to a wall and not into just space. So that's why I switched the doors up. They're not all going in one direction. So when you're going into the room, the door should be going towards a wall and not just into the room. At least that's the way I see it. Speaking of houses, there were a couple. When you go into our house, you open it up and the door goes directly toward the wall. But there are a couple houses of friends where I've been to where even as a kid, it used to strike me as odd because the door opened into the room. And I'm like, this is weird. It felt uncomfortable going into the house because I'm like, the door is blocking the room I need to go in. So you have to turn around and close the door in order to get where you want to go. It's weird. So I tend to do that with these builds. The windows. I do this every single time I use wainscoting. And that's the paneling on the bottom and then either paint or wallpaper on the top. When I use wainscoting in a Sims build, I just can't have anything touch the wainscoting. It drives me nuts. I don't know if it's an OCD thing or I'm just weird. So I raise the windows so that they're between the molding and the wood. I have to. I tried to even them out though with this build. The only window that's really low is the kitchen window where the sink and the dishwasher are. But I don't think that's a big issue. I don't think it matters. But I have to raise my windows so that they're proportional with whatever is going on the walls. And I know that's dumb. That's probably a dumb topic, but I just figured I would clear the air on that one. What else? Can't really think of too much else. It's still swelteringly, oppressively hot here. But I think I figured out the best way to noise reduce with Audacity. It's coming along. Better than I had expected. Oops, but not great. I just knocked the microphone. Well, hopefully I can fix that. The hot tub. It looks absolutely disgustingly gaudy at night. I know that. I changed it out. But the choices weren't too great. Oh, I don't know if you noticed at the beginning, but I gave them both a romantic trait so that they would behave themselves a little bit more maturely as a young married couple instead of being silly nincompoops. So I figured I would give them the hot tub as an excuse to take advantage of their romantic tendencies. That's why I did that. Now here's my tour. This was what they did on their own. The very first thing when I opened up the game, he initiated. So hooray, it's working. Yeah, see that door window is a little bit lower and I don't care because it's perfectly even on the wall next to the door. But the bedrooms and the dining room and stuff like that, I had to elevate them. The rest of them are pretty much on par. And the roof. Oh boy. I don't know how many times I've had to say this now. I suck at roofs. There probably should have been dormers there. But again, with me and the way I think, that's so weird. Why would you put a dormer up if there's no use for it? Why would there be a dormer on a one-story house? Who's ever going to see out those windows? Except for the attic critters who like to hang out there. So that's why I wouldn't do a dormer if if I had 2 stories, I would attempt to make dormers. But again, that's something else that I don't really care for. They don't seem wide enough to be useful. And that's probably where I'm making my mistake. Everything has to have a purpose. But I'm not displeased with the way the roof turned out. What I am, I think, displeased with is the color. Because it's kind of just blending in so well that you can't really see the bump outs. And that might have been a mistake on my part. I don't know. And then lastly, if I'm not mistaken, color choices. I went back to blue. And I just think it's becoming odd. I don't like this color. I never did. I know it's the world's favorite. My colors tend to be like orange, yellow, greens, certain greens. I wear a lot of chartreuse. Pink. I really enjoy pink. Some purples. Lavender, not so much. Lavender is a cool color and it slightly depresses me if I'm in a room for a period of time that's that color. I don't know why. But I'm going with blues. Again, I don't know why. But I like Bob's Kitchen. I think it's neat. That wall stuff. Oh, that is another one. I, again, made every attempt to not go cuckoo with the pack items. But I'm afraid I messed up again and there's going to be a zillion packs to this. Now, the other thing, too, here is this roof off the back. You look how wide open there. I couldn't make a room. I probably should have gotten rid of the porch that I put down and made a room, and then that would have fixed it. I don't know. But I think it looks silly. It's wide open there. But this neighborhood is so charming. I love the view. And next is not my favorite house we'll be doing. It's my favorite lot. That next house right next door. I can't wait to get there and build on that again. That lot is so charming. But yeah, I think I overdid it in the pack department again, and I am sorry if anybody's interested in downloading these for gameplay. I tried. I really did. I'm like, stick to base game, stick to base game. And aesthetically, it just didn't work out. Those couches, sofas, love seats, they're supposed to be grayish blue, and they look white. So I probably goofed up there too. This should have been a better color choice. And that planner, it looks pretty in build mode. But the minute you set it down, no matter where I put it, it was just this dark black yuck. So that was another mistake as well. Now this could be a second bedroom. When I did the choices for the lot, I said 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. But it's a den at this point. Hopefully they'll have a little one down the road and they can change that to a bedroom. I'm still upset too that they got rid of the 1010 unbreakable toilet. It just makes no sense to me. Why did they do that? I don't like any of the new toilet choices. So I usually go for John. But they just seem so uneconomical and unfriendly. Because I always look at comfort. I know you can repair. Can you upgrade a toilet? Maybe that's why. But I think the manual upgrades only go to, 8? You'll never get a perfect 10. But I do like that you can do the unbreakable, So, and I guess I should apologize for the length of this video. I should have done that at the beginning. I do hope you don't mind that it's 20 minutes long. Because I chopped this thing up in the editing process, and it's still, this was the best I could do. I hope I'm not, it's so boring. It's like 20 minutes of her. No way. Oh well. I thought the front yard was kind of cute. I think it's bordering on overkill. But, you know, that's his little garden for his cooking. I think it's cute. I always go overboard on landscaping, though I tend to do that. Oh well. I think the audio isn't quite up with the video. I'll apologize for that as well, but I do hope you like this. I hope you do click the like button and do have a wonderful day. Bye bye.